Stop what you're doing right now. If you just got orders for Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and you're about ready to sign a lease, do not sign anything until you've watched this entire video. No, I'm not being dramatic. I've been a real estate agent here for the area in 20 years here in the Dayton, Ohio area, lived here for 35 years, and no, this video is not here to try to sell you a home. Every single PCS season, I watch military families make the same expensive housing mistake, one that could cost you tens of thousands of dollars over the course of your assignment and years after that. So therefore, in this video, I'm going to be showing you exactly what that mistake is, why Dayton, Ohio is genuinely one of the most financially important duty stations you will ever receive when it comes to your housing decision, and what you need to know before you put pen to paper and sign anything, whether that be a lease or a purchase contract. Stick with me here for the next few minutes. This video could actually change the financial trajectory of your entire military career. Real quick, I have a free Wright-Patterson Air Force Base PCS Relocation guide that covers everything that we're going to cover here in the video in detail and much, much more. It goes over BAH rates by pay grade, best neighborhoods by commute time, school districts, pet-friendly housing, investment property strategies, a complete PCS timeline checklist. So comment the word PCS, the initials PCS below, and I'll get that sent directly over to you completely free. So now let's get on with it. Okay, here is what happens every single spring. Orders drop, the stress kicks in immediately. You got a report date, you got a family to move, you got a spouse who's trying to figure out their assignment, you're trying to figure out school choices, maybe a pet, maybe two pets. And then someone sends you a link to a Facebook group called Wright-Patterson Air Force Base Housing or Wright-Patterson Spouses, and suddenly you are scrolling rentals at midnight trying to figure out where your family is going to live in 60 days from now. The temptation is to just sign something, anything, get it locked in, check that box, move on to the next problem, and I completely understand, and no, I am not judging you. But I am here to tell you that that decision that you make in those 60 days, whether you're renting or buying, and where you land in this area is one of the most financially significant decisions of your entire military career. And most people make it without the information that they need to make it well. So let me give you that information right now, and we will be talking yes about renting and yes about buying. I want you to stay with me here for the next several minutes. I'm going to show you a comparison that stopped one of my military clients cold. It's actually a young family who came here fully intending to rent and then completely changed their mind about it once we went through the numbers. That story is coming, so stick with me. Here is something that military families who've been stationed at other Air Force bases across the country discover very quickly. When they arrive at Wright-Patterson, their BAH actually works here. So let me say that again. Because it's important, because most duty stations, your basic allowance for housing covers rent on a decent apartment and not a whole lot else. You are not building equity. You are not building wealth. You're actually paying someone else's mortgage every single month. And at the end of your assignment, you walk away with exactly zero to show for it financially. And I know that you guys have thought this through already. At Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in 2026, the BAH rates for the Dayton, Ohio military housing area are genuinely competitive. An 03 with dependents receives about $2,097 a month. An 04 receives $2,448 a month, and then an E6 receives $1,851 a month. Here's what makes those numbers extraordinary. The median home prices in the Dayton, Ohio suburbs is dramatically lower than almost any other comparable Air Force duty station in the country, and I've seen them. Think about this. If you are PCSing to Edwards in California, the median home price in Lancaster and Palmdale around the area is at least $400,000. And that is the affordable option near Edwards. Families, as you know, who want something nicer, it pushes significantly higher in price. If you're heading to Hill Air Force Base in Utah, the communities around Layton and Ogden, where a lot of Hill Air Force Base families live, the median home prices there are running about $375 to $520, depending on what neighborhood that you're living in. And of course, Utah is not a coastal market. So if we're talking about Eglin Air Force Base in Florida, believe me, it's a beautiful assignment. However, the median home prices in Niceville are running $440 to $530 starting out. If you want to be near the beach in Destin, you are well over $600,000. The beach tax is real at Eglin. If you're heading to the DC metro area, of course, median home prices in the communities around Andrews runs about $450 to well over $600 as well, depending on how close you want to be. And I'm not even going to talk about Northern Virginia because it is in a different universe financially of its own. Now, here is what the same BAH buys you in the Dayton area. Near Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, we're talking about beautiful homes, genuine 3-4 bedroom homes in safe, established neighborhoods with excellent schools in communities like Beaver Creek, Kettering, Centerville, and Springboro, $250 to $400. The same home that cost $520,000 near Hill Air Force Base, the same home that cost over $450,000 near Eglin, the same home that cost $600,000 near Andrews, here in the Dayton area starts around $250. That changes everything about your housing decision at this duty station because at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, your BAH can cover very close to your entire principal, your taxes, your homeowner's insurance, property taxes, everything. And that's not something I can say with most Air Force duty stations. That's exactly why this conversation about signing a lease here deserves a lot more thought than it might at your last assignment. So let me give you a complete picture. Renting at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base absolutely makes sense in certain situations. And I want to be straight with you because my job is just to give you the information. You will make the right decision for your family. I'm not here to push you toward any particular outcome. I'm going to show you both renting and buying. Renting makes sense if your assignment here is for 2 years or less. The transaction cost of buying and selling a home, closing costs, professional realtor compensation, the time the property needs to appreciate, mean a very short assignment can actually erase the financial benefit of ownership. So I just want to be clear here. Renting makes sense for your family in a situation where you genuinely need flexibility. If there's a chance that your orders could change, if you need to move quickly, maybe mid-assignment, if you're not ready to manage a property from a distance when you PCS out, or you don't want to leave it in the hands of a property manager, there's your sign. Renting makes sense if you're also not in a financial position to handle the responsibilities that come with home ownership. So let's talk about those responsibilities briefly here just for a minute because nobody else will. Here is what the pro-buying crowd does not always tell you. When you own a home, yes, you have responsibilities. Things break. Roof needs to be replaced. The furnace, the air conditioner, the hot water heater, the plumbing goes awry. All of these things can happen. None of that is your landlord's problem anymore. It's yours because you own the home. And yes, those things do break. And usually at the worst possible time. Usually during a deployment or when you're going to PCS. So now, let me take that scare away from you and let me tell you about what mitigates the risk significantly. I work for Howard Hanna Real Estate Services. We have a home warranty company that actually covers about 90% of all claims, which is just unheard of. So in case something would go awry with your mechanicals, all of that's taken care of. So instead of stroking a check in January for a $5,000 furnace, you simply will pay the service fee and the home warranty company handles the rest. You'll also have homeowner's insurance, and that covers the structure of the home itself. If a limb falls on the roof, if there is a fire, if there is water damage, your homeowner's insurance covers the repairs, of course, minus your deductible. You're not absorbing the full cost. So I just want to make sure that you understand what's covered and what's not covered. So when people say homeownership is risky because of repair costs, the honest answer, it's manageable risk, not non-manageable, if you have the right protection in place. I help every buyer that I work with to make sure that these protections are in place before we even close. Don't go anywhere yet because I have not told you the most important financial concept in this entire video. And it is the reason that real estate has consistently been one of the most reliable wealth building tools in American history. So stay tuned. And it's the reason that military families who buy in Dayton specifically, even for a relatively short assignment, often end up in a dramatically better financial position than those who rent. Stay with me here, we're almost there. So here's a fundamental truth about real estate that's held up through recession, through interest rate cycles, through pandemics, through market corrections. Over time, real estate appreciates. Not every year, not at every market, but over time. As the category in residential real estate in the United States has consistently gone up in value, and that's proven. When you own a real property, a piece of land with a home on it, you are actually building a stake in something that history tells us will be worth more in 10 years than it is today. When you rent, you're not building that stake. You are making someone else's stake even larger. So here's the thing about Dayton, Ohio specifically. I know the market. I've watched it for 35 years. Home values in the Dayton, Ohio suburbs went up significantly over the past several years, more than people ever expected. Prices in Springboro and Centerville and Beaver Creek have risen substantially. Yes, they have, which means that the gap between what you would pay in rent and what you pay on a mortgage has gotten a little bit smaller than it was 5 or 6 years ago. But here's what's not changed. Actually, the appreciation has not stopped. The demand from military families, from remote workers, from families relocating from higher cost markets, that demand is still driving the Dayton, Ohio real estate market forward today. Home values here are projected to go up 2 to 4% in 2026, with top suburbs potentially seeing more than that. So therefore, if you buy a home in Beaver Creek, Springboro, Kettering, Centerville, you keep it for 4 or 5 years, whether you're living in it or you're renting it out after your next assignment, you have a very, very high probability of selling it for a lot more than what you paid for it. And let me be clear, that does not happen with a lease. So I want to ask you something directly. As an adult, as someone who has committed to serving this country and building a life and a family, is that not exactly what you want your housing dollars to do? Mr. Wonderful often says, I want to send my money out to be able to put it to work and bring me back more. Not disappearing into a landlord's bank account every month, but working for you, building equity, building an asset, building something for your family so you can point to it one day and say, I own a piece of that. That's not selling you on buying a home. That is me asking you to think about what you want your money to be doing for you and how hard you want it to work for you during this time. So if you really want to maximize Dayton, Ohio, let me tell you about something called house hacking that I have helped military families do right here in the Dayton area. So let me tell you a story. I work with 2 young officers. They came in several years ago, bought a home together. It was their first assignment here in Dayton, Ohio. They purchased a 4-bedroom home in Fairborn, close to the base, affordable price point, and they rented out 2 of the other bedrooms out of the 4. So they lived in 2 and they rented out 2 to fellow service members. That went on for a little bit. That rental income covered a significant portion of their mortgage every single month. Their tenants were essentially paying for their entire housing cost, and their BAH went straight into their savings. So therefore, one of the officers then moved out and went and bought a second property from me and lived in it and rented out the other 3 bedrooms of that 4-bedroom house. The following year, he was reassigned to Colorado Springs. So he left Dayton, Ohio area, but within 3 years, now he has 2 rental properties and they're building equity simultaneously, all on a young officer's military salary. So that's what the Dayton, Ohio real estate market makes possible, because the price points here create the math for it to work in a way that it simply does not at most other duty stations. So therefore, it doesn't work in Columbus if you apply that, even though it's still within the same state. Whether you ultimately decide to rent or to buy, here's what I want you to do before you sign anything. First, know your BAH rate for your pay grade in the Dayton, Ohio military area. So you can go to militarypay.defense.gov and look that up. Of course, I'm sure you already know that. So therefore, know exactly what your housing allowance is. Secondly, look at the actual rental market and the actual purchase market side before you even decide what to do. Don't assume that one is better than another. Make sure you run your figures specifically for the Dayton area, because in Dayton, that might actually surprise you. Number 3, understand the communities before you commit to one. There's a massive difference between living in Fairborn, right next to the base, that might be 5-10 minute drive, and living in Springboro, which is a 20 to 30 minutes away. Both are great choices depending on what your family needs. But you need to understand the difference, because signing a 12-month lease that locks you into the wrong community, you might later regret. Fourth, if you're considering buying, get pre-approved before you even start looking. In the current Dayton, Ohio area, homes that are quality communities are selling anywhere from 20 to 35 days right now. So if you find a home that you really like and you don't have a pre-approval letter in hand, then more than likely you're going to lose that house. Fifth, call me. Seriously, I do this for a living. I've been doing this for 20 years. The first conversation costs you nothing. The second conversation, absolutely free. It might actually make some decisions for you feel a little less cumbersome. So I'm always here. Give me a call. My contact information is in the description of this video right below. So you can call, text, email me. We can just walk through your specific situation before you sign anything. If you found some value in this video, then go ahead and not just subscribe, but comment PCS guide in the comments below, because I'd really like to shoot you over that guide before you even come here. And Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is your life for the next several years. Make sure you get that in your hands. Normally I put out a couple videos every single week, and I talk about relocating, I talk about neighborhoods, I talk about schools, I talk about real estate market, all sorts of community guides, the cost of living, things like that. So I'm always putting those videos out just to be of value to you. So again, my name is Candace Sarber with Howard Hanna Real Estate Services. Lived in this community for 35 years, 20 years helping military families as a realtor make smart decisions at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. So whether you're PCSing here for the first time or you're a Dayton veteran coming back here to retire, I'd love to be your resource today. So again, the link to get a hold of me is below.